Hello and welcome to another edition of Pulp Picks. My name is Patrick.
I'm Fritz.
And we're here to give you this week's reading recommendations on New Comic Book Day. Just a real quick recap of the weekend. We had Free Comic Book Day. It was fantastic. We had face painting and cosplay. We had free comics that we gave out, of course. It was really awesome. Had a whole bunch of new people experiencing it for the first time. A bunch of our regulars came in. It was just a great experience all the way around. And last year we ran out of almost everything by the end of day one.
Yeah.
So this year we ordered a ton more. So if you missed out, we don't have all the titles. We've probably got a little over half of the titles still available to be able to pick up a lot of the big ones because we ordered heavy on the Image, Marvel, DC titles. So there's a lot of that stuff still available to pick up. We're going to keep them out and available for a while now. So as you get the ability to come in, feel free to ask about those. We're going to leave the display up until Thursday. But anyway, let's get into this week's new comics. And we've got a couple number ones and a number two.
Yeah, so my pick this week is The Boy Wonder issue 1. It's a new mini-series from DC featuring, if you couldn't guess, Robin here.
I was going to say, who is this Boy Wonder?
Yeah, so to be fair, specifically this Boy Wonder is Damian Wayne.
Yeah.
So how the story is kind of framed, it's kind of like a bedtime story almost, where it's kind of like, it's not exactly clear who's telling the story, but it's about Damian when he first joins the family, how he's just kind of out of place with everyone, how he's like he was raised by demons, how is he supposed to fit in, and it has this very fairy tale style to it in terms of just like Batman being referred to as this king, and he's Damian's this prince who is having to compete with the other princes, and it's so much fun because it part of what I've always loved about Damian is that he's clearly got the skills to back up a lot of his talk, but he's also he has all those skills are about fighting and he doesn't really have people skills, and that makes being a superhero really difficult. And this whole series is going to be each issue he's trying to hunt down this demon because oh, I come from demons, I should be good at this. And kind of learning lessons, whether he wants to or not, from the other former Robins. This issue is primarily with Nightwing and a bit of Batgirl in there. And it's so fun getting to see how they play off of each other. Just because Damon's just I don't need any help, I've got this, and it's just no, you don't. And so talking about the premise there, but so the book itself is written and drawn by I'm presuming it's pronounced as it's written, Junie Ba.
Yeah, that was my guess,
Yeah, I absolutely love their style. They did Monkey Meat a couple years ago from, I think, Image.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they've done a bunch of other stuff. They're doing one of the new Turtles titles coming out this summer.
It's gonna be a good fit there.
I think they actually, the Free Comic Book Day issue is one that they wrote.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
I was going to say, the art didn't look bad.
I think they just wrote the story for it. But yeah, so they've been doing a bunch of stuff. They absolutely are killing it. It's got a very not exactly Darwin Cook, but that very kind of stripped down only the essentials kind of look to it. It's just it's so vibrant with the colors and it's probably, and this is saying a lot because there's a lot of good looking books this week. It's probably my favorite looking book this week for sure. Yeah,
when you mentioned the colors, the color palette to me really stuck out.
Yeah, it's spoiler. There's a very not getting too spoiler with it. There's a very classic Batman villain that shows up in here, and just the way they look in this, the way it kind of plays with their shape and form is very fun, and I love it. Everything about this book is fun. I'm very excited. Next issue, it looks like he's having a team with Red Hood, and considering how Jason is, that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, kind of the blind leading the blind.
Yeah, yeah. So I figured I would like it going in just because I like other stuff I've seen from Ba. But no, this was an absolute delight. Definitely adding it to my pull list after this.
Yeah, very cool.
But speaking of something that I also kind of just went into a little blind.
Yeah, and aesthetically gorgeous as well.
Also, very much a contender for best looking book of the week.
Yeah, it was gorgeous. So I went with Ain't No Grave, number 1. This is Scotty Young and Jorge Corona doing a Western book. And
it's a twist.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of I don't know if it's just the paper that they printed it on or what, but it's got some heft to it. But it was a quick read. This book is gorgeous. And, so I had it on my list just because it's Scotty Young and the odds of it being entertaining are good. And there have been a handful of Western books that have come out lately, and I've liked a number of them. So I was interested to see where they were going to go with this. So I don't know how much to talk about without giving it away, but the gist of it is it's kind of like your Unforgiven kind of setup, right?
Yeah.
So you've got this gal who had been a gunfighter, and then she settled down and got a family, and now something has happened that is making her leave her family and go out on the road to try to change the trajectory of what's going on in their life right now. And so you're getting this great juxtaposition of who she became when she settled down and had a family and allowed herself to love someone and be loved versus the person that she was and that mantle that she's kind of having to take up again in order to accomplish this task. We're not seeing really much of like a flashback of who she was. We're kind of being told what that is, but you get the gist of how she feels about who that person was by the way that the storytelling's happening. The art, so it's a traveling book, and there are that kind of classic, the cowboy casting a long shadow on a horse with the sunset behind them and the vast desert or prairie.
A lot of white vistas and just beautiful landscapes.
Nailed it. It is so gorgeous. And the character work and everything, so it's got kind of a cartoony kind of vibe. It kind of reminds me of like Zawa or some of those more recent ones along those lines from also Image, but the landscapes are just setting the tone for this so much. And it's weird to talk about, the setting more than the characters. The characters look really cool. They actually kind of remind me of like the concept artwork for like a video game or something,
But I think with the landscape part, what I think makes it work for me is like the landscape also very much tells like the story of like how the character is internally, like just like as they're going from like location to location, like you see like it reflects like their emotional state. Yeah,
the loneliness, the desolation, it's and also kind of the relentlessness, like the unwillingness to let go of something, or in some cases the inability to let go of something. It's really cool. And then there's this funk. The end of this particular issue really lets you in on what the plot of this is. And I thought, wow, that is really cool. Not that it's unheard of in kind of a Western or, American folklore kind of telling, but what a great concept.
Oh, yeah. And again, the presentation, which is all the more insane when you remember that this is not the only book that, like, Corona has out this week, because they're, like, Transformers is also out this week, which almost made it up here.
Yeah.
And the fact that both books look gorgeous it's wild.
Yeah, it's, I'm really impressed with the quality of the artwork on the top, the top, I'm not going to say top tier books because, some of the most visible books, they're okay or whatever, but the books that are putting out great artwork right now, they're mind-boggling to me. This one, Boy Wonder this week looked gorgeous. We were talking about how cool Avengers looked this week. Just Rare Flavors, I think, just has such a beautiful tonal quality.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many good-looking books right now, but the story in this works so well with it. So good. Yeah, awesome. Well, on to our consensus pick.
A Deadpool issue 2. So we picked the first issue because it was great. The second issue, honestly, I think might have been even better because like now we've kind of got like the ground like floor put in for like what this run's going to be like. Deadpool's trying to get like more back into the Merc business to get over some recent emotional turmoil he's suffered.
Literally trying to bury himself in his work so he doesn't think about his personal life. Admittedly so.
Yeah, despite the fact that like clearly concerning the subplot with his daughter, his personal life wants to very much be involved.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and it's been a lot of fun. So he spends a lot of time this issue hanging out with his adopted wolf symbiote daughter, Princess.
Yeah.
Which that's an easy concept to get, so I just won't even bother explaining it.
I'm so happy that because that was, I think I talked about this last issue about like how like sometimes like series will just like drop things between like different writers and that. And I really do love how this run builds out the previous one without you needing to really have read it. It's just like you get the vibe for Princess right away. It's just like, oh, she's just like, she's kind of his sidekick, but also like trying to be his conscience at points. Like she's great. But someone who's not trying to be his conscience, as you can tell from the cover, Taskmaster is also in here a lot, and he's fantastic.
So the buddy story aspect, I don't know that that's quite the right term, because Wade obviously wants to be buddies with Tony, but I don't know that Tony wants to be buddies with Wade. He just wants to get paid.
It really shows how much he's willing to tolerate for a good paycheck.
Yeah. But their chemistry on page together is really good.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And to me, that's where Deadpool's at his best. Mm-hmm. Remember when he was hanging out with Bob and Headpool and all that kind of stuff? Just so good. Mm-hmm. I love those. So to throw Taskmaster in, with them trying to start this mercenary for hire business, and they're realizing like we really don't have resources to do much, so we've got to take entry level jobs to begin with. So good. And then there's a reveal at the end. Maybe things weren't quite what they seem, and I love the character that they reveal at the end. And also talk about aesthetically cool. That was a great splash page. It wasn't a splash page, really.
No,
but, full spread.
But like, and on that note, speaking of, let me go check that. Yeah, how do you pronounce that?
Roger Antonio.
Yeah, I would think so. Guess, yeah, but their art, they get the character stuff great because there's a scene that's like just all in the kitchen that's like fantastic with the body work and the facial work.
Yeah,
the action. Even though there's like not a whole lot in here, when it is there, it's really good. I don't know, they're knocking it out of the park. I think, I don't know that I've really seen much of their stuff before, but if this is anything to go by, I could definitely see them being a big name.
Oh, absolutely. Point. And it's got kind of that, I don't know, Deadpool's got kind of his own particular aesthetic that works really well. And I know that we talked about that last time too, kind of the elements of, the floppy bit hanging off the back of the mask and all of that, and getting the eyes just right, making them look like spherical lenses to me makes him, I don't know, they're being, small and perfectly rounded gives him kind of this childlike quality where and he's kind of an imbecile, so being naive and goofy is makes it work. The aesthetics of this are great. I'm really enjoying this run so far. We totally sold out of issue number 1. I can't remember if they're doing a reprint. I'd be shocked if they're not because it's Deadpool, but we do have copies on the shelf of issue 2, so if you got issue number 1, be sure to pick up issue 2 right away and add it to your pull and hold so that we're not possibly selling out of them before you can get in. And if you hadn't, I still recommend picking up number 2, and there'll be a way to grab a number 1 along the way, some way. So yeah, excellent week. Like we said, we've still got some free comic book day stuff. We almost picked Fantastic Four, but it was kind of the Seinfeld book this week. It was about nothing, but it was so good. It was a character book.
Yeah, it was. When they make you care about someone having a mustache.
Yeah. So it's just Johnny and Ben.
Yeah.
And it's
the honorary mention. How about that? Like,
for sure.
Like, because there's always a bunch of books that could be up here. Because you look at this wall. There's there's so many different books.
Yeah.
But like, we gotta narrow it down, and sometimes it's really hard. This week was honestly really hard.
Yeah. Well, and if you're reading Transformers, if you read Duke, or Cobra Commander, if you're reading any of the Void Rivals, any of that Energon Universe stuff, the Energon Universe book was setting up 3 new titles, so that's really a must-have.
Yeah.
There's the free comic book day version or the purchasable version. I know that there's a little bit of a difference, but I don't remember what the difference is.
Yeah,
but anyway,
I'd have to check. But
yeah, all kinds of good stuff. And Blood Hunt continues. We mentioned Avengers before. This is a different Avengers team, so we're seeing it.
I almost kind of want this to be the main team going forward, because it's. I mean, anytime you put Hercules on a book, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I really the makeup of this team looks great. Yeah, Kate Bishop and Quicksilver and Cap and Hazmat and Herc. Yeah, good team. That's a lot of fun. So kind of more your street level with a guy that can punch hard. So that's pretty awesome. So be sure to like, follow, subscribe, leave the comments. And get on in here to pick up your books because they don't last forever. Every week we have stuff that sells out before the week is done. And, certainly we've got some great back issues as well, and the dollar book section and all that good stuff. So we'll see you when you get down here. Thank you again for joining, and we'll be back next week. Take care. Yeah, look at that. That's amazing. And obviously foreshadowing.
Oh, yeah.